What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the first episode of the Mind Blueprint podcast. My name is James. I am the founder of the Mind Blueprint. Want to give you a little bit more information on myself. I'm 20 years old. I'm from England. And the reason for me starting the Mind Blueprint is when I was of a young age, 17, 18 years old, I started to have serious mental issues. Mentally, it wasn't healthy. And this can go back to the ages of 13 or 14, where I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like I wasn't living to my potential. I didn't feel like I was doing everything I could. And this led to a ugly cycle of me setting myself very, very, very high standards, but being too nervous, too anxious to even do anything, to even pursue any goals that I'd set myself. Um, and yeah, I just felt frozen. Like physically, I was fine, but mentally, since the age of about 14, I've been struggling with not anxiety and depression and all of that stuff, but I will say mental challenges. And it wasn't until the age of 18 where I really had that not eureka moment, but where I had like things were happening in my life. I've written a blog about it, but I'll discuss it briefly. Where coming into A levels, my second year, if you're not listening from the UK, from Europe, this is the last year of school before you go into university or college, as America calls it. So this was the final year, your final proper year of getting everything in place, getting everything ready to step into adulthood. And at age 17, January 2017, I was 17 years old. Mentally, I was ruined. I had just come out of around a 3-year relationship. The friendship group I was with was at that time toxic for me. They're not toxic people. I don't believe that. But during that time, during my characteristics, their characteristics, and everything that was going on, I felt like it was a very toxic environment for myself. I just lost my best friend at the time. And yeah, I was turning into someone I didn't like. I was very angry all the time. I didn't want to talk to anyone. And what happened was I had a mental breakdown in front of my dad. Um, this set everything into realization for me. I didn't want to admit I had mental issues. I didn't want to admit that I was struggling because I believed that I could deal with it all by myself. I didn't want to put any pressure on other people around me. I didn't want to just inflict on other people's life, and I didn't want to bring them into my personal problems because I didn't feel like they needed to be involved in it. And up until that point, as I said, I was a closed book. I wasn't open. I didn't want to say anything. But after having that mental breakdown, I realized where I was in my life. I had a lot of backlog that I needed to talk to someone about, express, and I really, really needed help. So I ended up getting counseling. Counseling was the best thing that has ever happened to me, simply because it gave me somewhere where I could express my feelings, somewhere where I could have an outlet, someone I could talk to that doesn't know me and is not going to judge me based off of my past or who I am currently. They're going to judge me based off of what I'm going through and the best course of action for them to help me deal with this. Um, so I had counseling for about 2.5 months, one meeting every week. So about 12 counseling sessions, give or take. Um, and yeah, that really set me straight. At the time, as I said, had a load of stuff to deal with, but at school I was failing. My subjects were photography, applied science, and travel and tourism. I was failing all of them or barely passing into a decent grade, being C for us. And I just wasn't achieving to my potential. And after talking about all of these issues, it really helped me because my conscience was clear. My mind was set, and I didn't feel like I had any of those pressures anymore. I, as I said, I just felt free. So this is why 2 years later, mentally again, somewhere I'm struggling with at the moment. If we fast forward 2 years on, since I finished school, I went traveling. I went traveling with my best friends, Hayden and Luke. We went for about 4 or 5 months. We went all around the world. We went to Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, and across America. Um, and I actually came back and moved to Liverpool to pursue a career in forex trading. That didn't work out. A lot of stuff happened with that that I won't go into too much detail because the company I was with and the owner of that company did some stuff that I'm not proud of. I'm not involved in it whatsoever, but it just left a sour taste into my mouth where I didn't feel like I wanted to be in that company anymore. So I returned home. So yeah, as I said, mentally struggling at the moment, but I am seeing a counselor again just to help me get my mind refocused. I am happy. It's just I can feel myself sometimes wading back into old patterns where I'm just doing certain stuff that I don't want to do anymore. So that's why I'm getting counselling. However, that's enough about me. As I said, my name is James, and I'm the founder of the Blue Mind Blueprint. It started off as a blog. There's about 7 or 8 posts currently at the time of recording this on 16th of September. And the purpose of this and the Mind Blueprint blog is to help people that are in a similar situation, because I know the struggles of everyday life. Maybe not as much as some people because I am only young. I am only 20. However, I feel like there's a lot of people my age that are really struggling, millennials, young people that could really use somewhere to listen to someone that's going through it or has gone through it, read information on certain topics that have benefited me and have benefited others, and hopefully use it as that inspiration to change where their life is heading and just make them happy. Because the overall goal of this Mind Blueprint is for you to gain your happiness back, gain control of your life, pursue your passions, and just as I said, be happy with your life because you only have one at bat. One of my favorite quotes of all time is by a man called Gary Vaynerchuk, and he says the probability of you being born is 1 in 400 trillion. So you have more chance of winning the lottery about 10 times in your lifetime than you do of actually being born. And not many people know that, and not many people understand that concept, and they take life for granted, and they aren't living it to their fullest. They aren't pursuing the happiness that they want. And that's the overall idea of the Mind Blueprint podcast. So we're going to be talking about a whole variety of different topics involved in mindset. There will be guests on this. I haven't decided who yet, but I am open to ideas. I'm going to try and reach out to young people that are currently in this field that feel like this may be an idea for a collaboration and they like the vision we're going with. And maybe even some experts in the field. I hope to, by the end of this journey, to have some of the greats on. I'd love to have Tony Robbins, Eric Thomas, Gary Vaynerchuk, just to name a few. Some of the people that I've been watching for a long period of time now, 5+ years, and get them on this so you can hear some of their advice, because at the end of the day, they're a lot older than where I am and will be more insightful in certain subjects. So yeah, we're going to be talking, as I said, talking about a whole variety of different topics, having guests on, and just having fun with it, because at the end of the day, I'm doing this out of passion because I really genuinely do want to help people that are in a situation where they're not happy, they're not enjoying life, and they feel like they can't escape. And hopefully inspire you to let out your creative side. This is my way of expressing myself outside of my work, outside of meeting friends and stuff like that. This is my passion. This is my hobby. This is me setting up somewhere where I'm getting the outlet of talking, expressing my views, and just maybe if it is mumbling, just rambling on. But it is my fun. This is what I like to do. This is what I get enjoyment from. So I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this podcast in the future. What inspired me to come up with the name of the Mayan Blueprint? Well, I was on the train one day heading back from Portsmouth with my best friend after a business meeting, and I was wondering what was going on in my life, what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, and where I could, I don't know, maybe do something different. I've always seen bloggers, vloggers creating these pieces of content that I thought were incredible, especially those that can edit very, very well visually. It's a very impressive skill. And I felt like I could add some value somewhere where I currently wasn't in my life. So I felt that with my current situation, with my past, um, where could I talk about and potentially help other people um, in just in general in day to day life? So the thing that I felt like I could add the value to was in terms of mindset because I have gone through a lot. I don't want to be one of those corny people that are like, oh, they've suffered, etc., etc. But bit of I told you about who I am, but background story: my mother passed when I was 2. She passed of having my 2 sisters that caused high potassium levels. Just want to stress it's not my sister's fault before any of you say anything. It's just a side effect of giving birth. Her potassium levels were too high. They were causing her heartbeat to vibrate instead of pumping blood. So it was sitting on just wasn't doing anything. It was just stationary vibrating. So nothing was circulating throughout her body. And she was on life support for about a few days until my dad had to make the decision to let her go because she wasn't going to recover. Her mum and dad knew that at the time, and it was a very tough decision. But my mum passed when I was 2, so I didn't really have a mother figure. And at the age of 11, my dad got a condition where artery is taking blood away from his spine. So instead of blood pumping directly to his spinal cord, it is diverting it to other areas in his body, and he finds it hard to walk. So he has a condition where he has a disabled badge, but I think he's able-bodied enough to do okay. But yeah, this hit me at age 11, so right when I was really into my football, when I was really into doing stuff with him, physically going out and playing, building stuff, etc., etc. So that cut my childhood a lot short. We talked about this privately, and I know he's okay for me to express it, but mentally growing up, I feel like I'm a lot stronger than people my age. It did really affect me, but I've overcome those challenges, and I know everyone's different. And I feel like my mindset is my strongest attribute. Some may disagree because I'm very, I wouldn't say I'm stubborn, but stubborn is a common word. I like to do things that give me enjoyment and fulfillment and make me happy. So if that thing that I'm currently doing is not, then you could say I find it very, very hard to do that task because I don't enjoy it. It makes perfect sense. I feel like everyone's like that. So reason for, as I said, the mind blueprint is I felt like this is my way of adding value to others. The name of the mind blueprint. I wanted it to be taught of personal development. I wanted this to help other people, and that's where the mind part of the blueprint come from. And the blueprint came from I was on my way to work one day and I thought about I used to work by Windsor Castle, and I had the thought of how did Windsor Castle get there? How did the monarch get in place? How did England become England? And then it led me to think about how did anything become anything? Because if you think about it, any government, any company, any country, any organization started with nothing. They started off with an idea, with a concept, And that led me to the idea of a blueprint, because the blueprint is somewhere where you plan out where you think or you want to design something and then you create it. It's like in architecture. For an architect builds a building, he has to have an idea of what it wants to look like. And for him to be able to have an idea of what it wants to look like, he has to draw it and he has to design it. And that design is placed on a blueprint. I think the same way for the mind. I believe no matter how dire your situation may be mentally, you may be struggling, you may be doing drugs, you may be an alcohol addict, you may be a food junkie, whatever problem you have, I believe you can improve that. And I believe you can take your life from one area and take it to another level by just focusing on the things that you're not doing currently. And that's where the mind blueprint comes from. I like the slogan that I'm not going to come up with, but it's my thinking was the ability to redesign your mindset. So having a clean slate, if you want, you can call it a canvas, you can call it whatever, but having a blank blueprint and just being able to envision who you want to be within the next month, the next year, the next 5 years, and designing that blueprint for you to get there. And that's the concept of the mind blueprint. And the different topics we're going to be talking about will help you in terms of thinking differently. I want you to see your life, your outlook on things as a lot more positive. I don't want it to be, oh, I have to work my 9 to 5. I have to go to the gym. Oh, I have to go food shopping. Oh, I have to eat healthily. Oh, I have to go on a diet. I want to help you. I'm not going to be able to do it personally, but I want to be able to produce that content and help you take your life into your own hands, take responsibility for your results, your achievements in life, and help you achieve those things that give you the most joy, the most pleasure, the most happiness. Because if you're not doing something you love, then you might as well not do it. That's, again, another quote that stuck with me throughout, is no matter how much money in the world, no matter how much materialistic things, no matter how much money you have, if it's not giving you fulfillment, then you're not going to be happy. So that's the concept of the mind blueprint and the blueprint theory. There is a blog post about this. I have discussed this in the blog, themindblueprint.com. But that is the concept behind the mind blueprint. And yeah, we've gone over several topics. I think my personal favorite is the law of attraction. For those of you that don't know the law of attraction, it is being able to think of something repeatedly over and over and over and over again, day in, day out, not all of the time, but maybe 3 or 4 times a day, where you are envisioning or you're thinking about something you want. For example, I don't know, maybe you want a brand new car. You think about that, and maybe it takes you months to achieve, but you save more money. You spend less on stuff you don't need, like fast food, watches, clothes, etc., etc. And you put that money away, and then you start to see things and encounter things in your life that relate to that car. Let's say it's a new BMW. You may see more BMWs on the road. You may somehow hear a BMW advert on the radio, and that is the law of attraction. It's thinking about a topic and those materialistic things starting to gravitate towards you. And yeah, that was probably my favorite topic we talked about so far, and I believe it's probably my best piece of content that I've written. So if you want to check that out, the link will be in the description of this podcast. If you're listening on Spotify, then it won't be, but it is themindblueprint.com/the law of attraction. And yeah, that's pretty much it so far for this episode. I'm going to keep it pretty short. The first one, just an introductory to what we are about in the Mind Blueprint, who I am, and what we aim to achieve. In terms of a schedule, schedule will be every Sunday evening, 6 p.m. British Standard Time, so 6 p.m. GMT. I'm not sure what that is in terms of like Pacific Standard Time and Europeans time, etc., etc. You're gonna have to do that figure that stuff out. But yeah, this has been the first episode of the Mind Blueprint. My name is James. It's a pleasure to meet all of you. I hope you have a phenomenal week, and I will see you all in the next episode.